Hare Krishna, welcome you all for the Gita Gyan seminar, third session, Gita Gyan seminar for English students, English participants. Today, we are going to take up the third lesson, which is the scriptures, Sastra Chakshu. That is the subject today. We have already covered in lesson 1 and lesson 2. Lesson 1, we learn about our identity. Who am I? I am spirit soul. I am not this body. And lesson 2, we learn about this world. Who is there in control? How the world is operated, or which elements or ingredients it's made of. These are the few things we discuss about the world. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, Krishna says, Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadepam viditvenam nanusochitum arhashi. The soul, which we are talking about now, spirit soul, Atma, is called Avyakta. Avyakta means you cannot see. Not only that, it is called Achintya. You cannot even imagine about the soul. That means we cannot see the soul, we cannot hear the soul, we cannot hear soul, we cannot touch. Soul is like beyond our approach, beyond our imagination. It is avang manasha gochara, beyond words and mind. So what to do about? If you cannot do anything about it, then what to do? That is a question. Also, in our last session, presentation, we saw the presentation of a scientist, Bon Voyage. He has done a research and he has presented this fantastic trip. In his trip also we came to know that he is telling that the ultimate imagination, which is traveling through that imaginary trip, fantastic trip, he could go up to 10 to the power 23, that is up to galaxy, 1 million light year. Beyond that, we cannot go. It's beyond my imagination. And when he goes inward, inside the atom, he reaches up to the quark. And he said, that is a limit of our modern science. In matter, we cannot go beyond this point. So that means that soul is unapproachable by even science. Science is a limit up to quark only. Beyond that, they are not able to go. And what about this world? The world is also, our science said that it's limit. Galaxy is a limit. We cannot beyond it. We cannot go beyond it. We cannot imagine it. Not go. What is the question of going there? There is no possibility of even imagining beyond that any existence. So these are the few unanswered like problems or question. Question is, how something cannot be seen or heard or touched or imagined, how to know about it? What is the way to know about the soul? And the world, even after so much effort, we have come to know only up to the galaxy, and that is highest. So, how to know beyond it? What is the way of knowing the world completely? Where we can say, I know completely. I have completely and accurately, correctly, without not imagination. So, how to know the world perfectly, accuracy, and completely? How to know the soul properly, with with like confidently, with your full confidence that yes, we know properly. How to know? That is a question. Maybe you can give your answer in the comment. What do you think? How to know? I mean, there is a problem. Okay, are these some solution will work? I'm just giving some ideas. Will this work or not? You can tell me. About the soul. If you go to doctor who has done so many surgeries, who is like expert in this surgeon, is doing heart surgeries or cutting the bodies. Can you ask that doctor if they have seen soul or they can tell us about something about soul? Is it possible? What do you think about it? If some doctor has maybe some other some found some clue about the soul, is possible? I don't think so. Even they might have experience of soul, but they cannot tell everything about soul. What we want to know. They cannot still solve our problem. We want to know the soul, and also we want to know everything about our existence. We are spirit soul. Soul is not some object. See, we are the soul, and we want to know about ourselves. How can doctor tell us? Because doctor himself doesn't know about himself. He doesn't know about himself, his identity. How can he tell us? So another option, you can go to scientist. Can scientist tell us about the soul and the world? Is it possible? We just learned from the that presentation of scientist born voyage that they are already admitting that this is our limit. We cannot go beyond it. So, what are other options? Can we go to some big library, millions of books? Can you read all the books and find out the soul and world? You will go crazy if you read all the books. Nothing will come in hand. So, what is the solution? I want to hear from you first. Okay, so because the title of this lesson was Scripture, Shastra Saksha, so it gives you a hint, the answer also. The solution is the Shastra, our revealed scriptures, Vedic Shastra. Shastra is the solution. How? Before I explain to you how the Shastras are actually our only shelter, I will explain. But before that, I want to hear from you. What is your understanding about Shastra? I want to know from you. So my question to you is that uh, what is the difference, or let us say comparison between knowledge received from the Shastra and knowledge received from the other human sources like scientists, doctors, and books, other books other than Shastra. These two knowledge we are receiving. So, what is the difference between these two? In your answer, you have to tell which one is better and why it is better. One reason you have to give. Okay, please raise hand and start telling. I want to hear from all of you give one reason and what is your suggestion, which is better for receiving knowledge and why it is better. Okay, nice. You have very good, different, nice ideas and some understanding also. Good. Good. You can say without any hesitation, frankly, whatever you feel, whatever if you are for Shastra or against, don't worry, you can say anything. Okay. Actually, we are born in India, we have naturally faith in Shastra, and because this is a spiritual class, naturally, most of you are in favor of Shastra only. But okay, now we will discuss today the why the Shastras are most reliable source of receiving knowledge. I'm telling Shastra is a source for receiving knowledge, okay? Receiving knowledge about the soul and about the world. But I'm saying it is reliable source. Not only reliable, it is most reliable source of receiving knowledge. That is my proposal, and I will discuss with you the 10 points. Okay, so please make note of these 10 points. You should be able to tell whoever asks you why are you reading Gita, why are you reading this book, then you can tell them these 10 reasons, and anyone if you tell the 10 reasons, they will be convinced about your point. Point number 1, you are aware of it, simple. If you get any kind of machine or complex machine or any product, if you don't know how to operate it, what you do? You just find the manual of that product, manual of that machine, which describes how to operate it. Any company who is producing any complex machine or product, they are always producing the manual also, side by side the product. Similarly, the God who has created this world is also kindly presented the manual of this complex universe. And in that manual, he is describing everything about the universe. Why he will not do. So that is the scripture. Sastra. Shastras are the manual of the world. Not only the world, the manual of also our life. For example, there are Ayurveda. We talk about our Ayu. Ayu means health. There is called Dhanurveda. We talk about the military science. There is Jyotirveda. Talks about the planetary systems. There is Yoga Sastra, which talks about yoga. There is called Dharma Sastra, teaching about etiquette. There are Artha Sastra, which teaches about how to achieve some goal in our life. There are many aims. Someone wants money, someone wants power, someone wants high position in society. Many different goals are there. So that is Artha Sastra. There are Niti Sastra, which discusses about how to deal in different situations. So these are the manuals. Shastras are the manual of this complex universe and our life. So that is the first point, because the person who has created this world and us, who has created the manual, that is Shastra. Point number 2, if you want to know who is your father, say for example, in India there is no problem, but in West there is a problem. People sometimes leave their children. Sometimes father leaves the children with their mother only, they leave. So if one want to know who is my father, what is the best way of knowing? If you go to search for a father through the like DNA code, then you have to test all the people of the planet. It's not possible. So the best way is to ask the mother. Mother can accurately tell you who is your father. Similarly, Shastras are like our mother. They will tell us about the father or creator of this world. That is second point. Third point is scriptures are called axiomatic truth. Axiomatic truth means the self-established truth. That means the truth which does not require any kind of experiment. The truth which does not require any kind of evidence is self-evident. The self-evident facts are called axiomatic truth. The Shastras are axiomatic truth, self-evident. It doesn't require any kind of anyone's recommendation, proposal, or confirmation. Doesn't require any confirmation. We cannot say just blindly that it is axiomatic truth. We give example. Example is like Gomaya. Gomaya means gobar. The gobar is a stool or we say waste of the cow are actually stool of any person. All the animals are generally dirty things. We cannot touch. We cannot touch any species stool. What to speak of animals, even birds. If we touch, we have to wash our hands. We have to use soap, or we have to take bath many times in many cases, because stool consists all the bacteria, negative bacteria, harmful bacteria, all the stools. That is mentioned in the scripture also. But the Vedas say the stool of cow, that is called Gomaya, Gobara, is most pure, antiseptic, and most worshipable, most useful for our health, healthiest thing. And it was said millions years before in the scripture, and it is like self-evident. And now the scientists have proved the fact that Goma is really antiseptic and really purifying and very healthy. In village, people used to use this Gomaya in their walls and floors, and that keep very pure the house without any disease. So that is one fact. Another is Sankha, conch shell. Bone of any animals is also not pure, not touchable. It requires so much purification. Otherwise, you should not touch it. But the Sankha, which is naturally its bone, entire body of that living this being, and it is called pure, and we really find it is pure. Similarly, many such things are mentioned in the scripture, which are, when scripture said it is pure, we take it like also Gomutra. Now, Gomitra, now modern our Ayurveda researchers have proven that hundreds of benefits are there in this Gomutra. It is again like the waste of cow. So like this, the point we made is that Shastras are axiomatic truth. Whatever is mentioned there is absolutely truth. You cannot defeat, or you cannot counter argue, you cannot disprove any fact which is mentioned in the scripture. Then fourth is, in Shastra there is accurate predictions. accurate predictions. Like, for example, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a prediction of uh, Lord Chaitanya who is going to appear. Bhagavatam was compiled 5,000 years ago. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes just 500 years ago. The prediction is there. Lord Buddha comes 2,000 years ago, and it is also predicted. The Bhagavatam 5,000 before. What to speak of just Buddha and Chaitanya? Srimad Bhagavatam even speaks of uh, Chandragupta Maurya, Chanakya Pandit, and Ashok Vardhan, which are very much confirmed and accepted by modern history. And it is really not just bluff. If you want to see, do you want to see? I can just show you in how scripture it is mentioned, the names of Ashok Vardhan, Chanakya, and Maurya. I will share you. You can see how it is mentioned in scripture very clearly. It is Srimad Bhagavatam and 12th canto, that is talking about the future dynasties of this world. So where it is mentioned, I'm just sharing with you my screen so you can see how exactly scriptures are talking about the dynasties of future dynasties. This is canto 12. Okay, this is canto 12 of Bhagavatam, and it is having this many 12 chapters. So first chapter it is said, you can see them on the screen, degraded dynasty of Kali Yuga. Okay, dynasties of Kali Yuga. In this chapter you enter, go to text number 10. Okay, what is mentioned here? We go to 11 directly. Text number 11. Navanandan dvija kaschit prapannan uddharishyati tesham abhave jagati maurya bhakshanti vai kalo. Okay. The meaning of this sloka is, a certain Brahmana, in bracket Chanakya, will betray the trust of King Nanda and his 8 sons and will destroy the dynasty. In their absence, the Maurya will rule the world as the age of Kali continues. So Chanakya Pandit will support the Maurya dynasty. He will establish a Maurya. Sridhar Swami and Vishwanath both confirm this Brahmana mentioned here is Chanakya. And he is also known as Kautilya or Vatsyayana. Chanakya is also known with Kautilya. Okay, what's the next sloka is more interesting. Sa eva Chandraguptam ve dvijo raje vikshakshati tatsuto varisarastu tatas chashoka vardhana. Very clear. The previously said Maurya, but which Maurya? It is mentioned here, Chandragupta Maurya. So name is mentioned. This sloka translation says, this Brahmana means this Chanakya Pandit will enthrone Chandragupta Maurya, whose son will be named Varishara, and the son of Varishara will be Ashoka Vardhana. Okay, so these are the, just I'm giving some hints how our scriptures, there are predictions, very, very much accurate predictions. So it is mentioned about Chanakya, Ashoka Vardhan, and Chandragupta Maurya. Now, the next is, it was the predictions. Now, number 5 is our scriptures gives precise accuracy of cosmology. Cosmology, how this world is made. So I will show you again, if you want to see you with your own eyes, how Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about cosmology, and very perfectly. I mean, Sastra said that world is bhugola. We say bhugola. This earth is round, but our modern science was thinking it is a flat. Now they have come to know it is round. So our Shastra already spoke long back, it is a bhugola. Then also they were thinking that only sun is moving, earth is stable. Now they've realized that no, sun is also moving and earth is also moving. Now they have accepted it. But scriptures have said the truth millions of years ago. Now, I just show you about cosmology, how Srimad Bhagavatam, do you want to see this directly? How Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about cosmology very accurately. See, this you have to go to Canto 5. Canto 5, this Canto 5 is only about the cosmology. In this, you go to chapter number 20. You just see 20 in our chapter. Studying the structure of the universe. Okay. 21 number chapter you see here. The movements of the sun. 22, the orbits of the planets. So our scriptures are precisely talking about the structure of the universe. You see the chapter name. It speaks about orbits of the planets. And even their speed is mentioned. How each planets have different speeds. Not only speeds, their orbits are also like somebody going straight, some planets going little vakragati, means not straight, some planets going backward and forward, like all these things are mentioned. And also movements of the sun, how sun moving around the universe. I just give you one, again I can show you one simple, one sloka, at least for just sample. It's how about sun, very interesting things are mentioned. This chapter 20, text number 43. It says, the sun is situated vertically in the middle of the universe, in the area between Bhuloka and Bhuvarloka, which is called Antariksha or outer space. The distance between the sun and the circumstance of the universe is 25 koti yojana, 2 billion miles. See, even exactly things are mentioned. Now, again, if we go to the next chapter, which is said, the movements of the sun. Text 1. My dear king, I have thus described the diameter of the universe. What is that? 50 crore yojana, that is 4 billion miles. And its general characteristics according to the estimates of the learned scholars. These are the things are mentioned in our scripture. These precise, accurate numbers are mentioned. And now this see the speed of the sun is mentioned here, how sun is moving. When the sun travels from Devadhani, the residence of Indra, to Sayamtani, the residence of Yamaraj, it travels 23,775,000 yojanas. That is 190,200,000 miles in 6 hours. Okay, so we just learned that how precisely the scriptures talks about cosmology, the speed of the sun, the size of the universe, structure of the universe, orbits of the different planets. Just I shared with you some texts directly from the Bhagavatam. Now, point number 6, that also Shastra speaks about embryology. The modern science has come up with embryology. You must have learned about embryology, how in the womb the child develops its body. That we thought we know now only, before people didn't know. How precisely embryology is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, third Canto, chapter number 31, speaks about, I just use, you can see the text, chapter, name of chapter, so it is more accurate. You see, this chapter what it speaks, 31, Lord Kapila's instincts on the movements of the living entities. Now we see inside you go, text 1. Karmana deva netrena jantur dehopapatte striya pravishta udaram punso reta kanasraya. Meaning is, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord and according to the result of his own past deed, work. The living entity, the soul, is made to enter into the womb of a woman through the particle of male semen to assume a particular type of body. Okay, this is the next verse. Kalalam tveka ratrina pancharatrina budbudam dasahena tu karkandu pesyandamba tataparam. Means the first night the sperm and ovum mix, and on the fifth night the mixture ferments into a bubble. On the 10th night it develops into a form like a plum, and after that it gradually turns into a lump of flesh or an egg, as the case may be. And next you see, Masena tu sirodvabhyam bhavangra vigra nakhalomasti charmani linga chiridro bhavat strivi. What is the meaning? Very interesting. You will never find such things. In the course of a month, a head is formed. After 1 month, the baby in the womb, it forms the head. And at the end of the 2 months, after 2 months, hands and feet and other limbs take shape. By the end of the 3 months, the nails, fingers, toes, body hair, bones and skin appear. And as do the organ generation and the other apertures in the body, namely the eye, nostrils, ears, mouth and anus. Chaturvi sapta panchavi kshutrid bhava sadvir jarayunavit kuksho brahmati dakshine. Yes. Within 4 months from the date of conception, the 7 essential ingredients of the body, namely blood, flesh, fat, bone, marrow, semen, come into existence. At the end of 5 months, hunger and thirst make themselves felt. The child will feel hungry and thirsty at 5 months. End of 6 months, the fetus enclosed by amnion begins to move on the right side of the abdomen. Therefore, in 6 months, we have some ceremony in India. After 6 months, the baby is in the 6th month. There is some ceremony that generally mother and father perform. There is something happening in the embryo, the womb. So just I gave you some hints how you can see now. This is mentioned in the Bhagavatam 5,000 years ago. Okay, and our foolish modern people are saying that human beings were like before 3,000 they were totally backward. They did not have any knowledge. They were like they had nothing. They were too foolish and like eating only raw flesh from the jungle. All this misconcept they're spreading. But just see how accurately this embryology is mentioned. Now you can check this each sloka with modern science, because science is now able to see through the camera. You can see inside the womb. So you can check with the modern science that embryology chart is there, how the body is growing. You can match. If anything is not matching, you can tell me. 7. Okay. Literal accuracy. Literal accuracy means in the scripture there is no grammatical mistake. There is no any kind of mistakes. Literally perfect and accurate. Not only the like grammatically, but concept wise, content wise, it's perfect. For example, Bhagavad Gita was spoken 5,000 years ago by Krishna himself, Arjuna. And that Gita having 700 slokas. And if you go any part of the India, and you can find the Gita, you will find same 700 sloka. I mean, Now the modern, there is now computer, we can share the soft copy anywhere. Now we have flights and trains recently, but before there was no such transportation system even. So uh, the copies were there. You can find the old copies, 100-year-old. All the copies having same number of sloka and even same number of letters. Like, and even there is no difference in full stop and comma. Okay. I have one old copy of Bhagavad where each chapter, in beginning of the chapter, it is mentioned how many slokas are there in chapter, how many letters are there in this chapter, how many full stop, how many comma, how many numbers. Everything is mentioned in beginning of the chapter. Such an accuracy is there in the scripture. And till that, after the Krishna spoke till now, after it's written by Vyasa till now, no one could find any mistake. So there is no question of any subtraction or adding anything in Gita till date. But you see the modern books, every time you have to edit, correct, modify. Every 6 year, all the textbooks are change, because always modification. But this Shastra doesn't require modification because very literally, very accurate. Accuracy. 7 point was accuracy. Point number 8. Point number 8. The Shastras are eternal. It is Sanatan. What does it mean? Eternal means Shastras were ever existing, all time existed. But you can say, oh no, it is spoken by Krishna, Vyasdev wrote. No. It is just Shastras appear and disappear. When Krishna spoke to Arjuna, Gita, 5,000 years ago, in that very same Gita, Krishna said to Arjuna that this Gita I spoken before to Sun God 20 million years ago. 20 million years ago, Krishna spoke this Gita to Sun God. That means 20 million years ago also Gita existed. That means the scriptures are eternal. It only appear and disappear, manifest, unmanifest. So, but Krishna said, but due to time, Kala, due to influence of Kala, time, it was lost. So I'm again retelling you. Again I'm repeating. So that is appearance and disappearance. But Shastra ever existing. Okay, so it is eternal, and also it is mentioned that Veda is coming from breathing of the God. God breathing, from breath Veda comes. So because it is coming from the breath of the God, it is eternal. Or how it comes to human society, from it is eternal, but comes to human society through either Krishna breathes and it comes from Brahma to us, or he empowers someone to write the scripture. That is compiling, not creating, as like Vyasdev, some incarnation, and they compile the scripture. So this is scriptures are eternal. Point number 9. Shastra are meant for our eternal benefits. Shastra always benefiting us. That means it gives us both the knowledge side by side, material and spiritual. Both the knowledge Shastra give us. So they give us knowledge of this life, how to live the life, and also life after death. Means after death, what to do. That also Shastra speaks. But whereas this our mundane knowledge only speaks about this life, they cannot tell anything about the next. So that is also one point of scriptures, that It can tell us about the next life and also about the spiritual life, but other knowledge cannot tell. And last and 10th point is that the scriptures are compiled or written by the person who is free from 4 defects, like compiled by Vyasdev, the incarnation of God, or any other rishi like Parasar, Vyasa, like that Sukadev, free from 4 defects. So what is that 4 defects? The 4 defects are, that is very important, you have to remember, that the person who compiled the scripture is not in illusion. Illusion means, you are in illusion, means you don't know what you are. That is called illusion. You take something for something else, that is illusion. Like you take something for something else, that is illusion. So most of the people on the planets are in illusion. They don't know who they are. So that is, the scripture is written by a person who is not in illusion. And 2, the person who never did mistake. All the people on the planet, they commit mistake. All the time we commit mistake. But the scriptures are written by the person who never ever do any mistake. Otherwise the scripture will be false if they do mistake. So therefore you don't find any mistake. Okay. And 3rd point is that the person who writes the scriptures, their senses are perfect. Their senses are perfect, not imperfect. Our senses are imperfect. Like we cannot see beyond certain limit. That we have limit to see. Our eye has some limit. In also hearing, according to modern science, we have a range of hearing. Below that we cannot hear, and above that we cannot hear. There are many sounds in this world which we don't hear at all. If we start hearing, we'll become crazy. We cannot live only. So God has made our ear in such a way that whatever we want to hear, that much range God has given us. He has not given full range. If He gives full range, we will become mad. Because like, there is some small kind of product machine comes which to remove the rats. So there are particular sound which rats cannot tolerate. They run away. Also mosquito, some music is coming. So these are some example of imperfect senses. So our senses are imperfect, but the person who wrote the scripture has perfect senses. Should be perfect sense, otherwise. So human beings, all the human on the earth planet, having no perfect sense. So they cannot write any book or any scripture. And that is not authentic if they write. And 4th is cheating propensity. So that person who writes the scripture, they do not have a cheating mentality. Because why they don't have cheating? They don't want to achieve anything from this world. That's why they don't cheat. They have nothing to achieve from here. But in human society, everywhere there is cheating. Even at upper level, higher level, there is cheating. Even in science, there are many cheating has been found. If you want, I can share some examples how there is cheating in science also, who are guiding us. Even in politician level, big leaders, politicians, they also sometimes cheat. So we cannot trust anybody in this any human being we cannot trust for the absolute knowledge. So that's why God personally come as incarnation like Vyasdeva, and they write the scripture because they are free from 4 defects. Defects are not in illusion, never do mistake, the senses are perfect, and no cheating mentality. Therefore, their scriptures are perfect. So these are the 10 points we made. Because of this 10 points, the scriptures are most reliable source of receiving knowledge. I hope you are agree with me that how this these scriptures are so important in our life. I hope you learned it. Now, one point, one question may comes in our mind, that there are so many scriptures and we don't have time to read. We don't also Sanskrit. What to do? We don't understand even after reading what to do. So what is the answer? Answer is that see, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Gita also, Bhagavad Gita, in Shankaracharya, have given glorification of Gita where he says, Sarvopanishado gavo dogda gopala nandana arthavatsa sudhir bhokta dugdam gitamritam mat. Saying that all the Upanishads, all the books of knowledge, they're like cow. Sarvopanishado gavo. And Krishna becomes like coward man, for milking the cow. And Arjuna become the calf. Arjuna become calf. And Krishna milked all the books of knowledge, and that milk become Gita. And that Gita first drank the calf Arjuna, and the remnants we are getting now, all of us. So by reading Gita, we get the milk or essence of all the knowledge. That is one. In Srimad Bhagavatam also there is one sloka, chapter 1. Bhurini bhuri karmani srotavyani vibhagasha atha sadhu atrayat saram samriddritya manishaya bruhi bhadraya bhutana yenatmashu prasidati. So here the Rishi, Saunakadi Rishi says that there are hundreds of scriptures and hundreds of prescriptions, and we will be bewildered what to do, how. Therefore, you tell us something. In essence, we don't have to go through all the scriptures. Then Sut Goswami said, yes, this Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all the scriptures. Now, I will tell you one story by which this problem of reading the scripture will be solved, like what to read, how to read. So I will tell you a small story from the Bhagavatam. Very important. Please listen very, very carefully. It is very much philosophical, but in story form I will tell to make it easy. Vyasdeva is an incarnation of God. He is called literally incarnation. Lekhan avatar. He incarnated only for writing the scripture. So Vyasdeva, he was sitting in Badrik Ashram, Himalaya, on bank of the Saraswati river. He was sitting one day in the morning when sun was rising. He was meditating. And he saw that in Kali Yuga people are very less intelligent. The memory is lost. They are disturbed. So he thought, what to do? I should do something for them. So what he did, all the Vedas which were existing before, he wrote down the 4 Vedas, compiled the 4 Vedas. The 4 Vedas are meant for the guidelines how to live life by performing yajna. At that time, that was the occupation of the people. So how to perform yajna, he mentioned the 4 Vedas. After compiling 4 Vedas, he thought, okay, this is only how to live, but how to get moksha? For that, I should do something. So he then, about moksha, how to get knowledge of Supreme, he wrote 108 Upanishads. 4 Vedas, then 108 Upanishads. But Upanishads, the problem with Upanishad is that it speaks only about the moksha. But there is nothing about God. Some respect to God, bhakti to God is very important. Then he thought, okay, my God. Then what he did? He wrote 18 Puranas. in that Puranas, he glorified the God now. But again, the problem with Purana is that it glorifies the God. It speaks about bhakti, but it is sakam bhakti. Only God gave me this, God gave me this. Only like sakam bhakti. So again, he was feeling little disappointed. No, this is not good. I should give something better to the world. Then what he did? He wrote Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra means the whatever he has written so far, Vedas, 4 Vedas, 108 Upanishad, 18 Puranas, all the scriptures essence in sutra form, formulas. He wrote formulas. So you get knowledge, you get also about the God, bhakti, and also you get the living life, everything in sutra form. So because once if one enter into Vedas, he gets stuck into only living the life. If you get into Upanishad, you will get stuck into only moksha, Brahmajyoti. If you read Puranas, you stuck into Sakam Karma. Give me this, give me that. So he got the essence. So one can get gist of all the scripture in short note. So that was Sutra, Vedanta Sutra. But problem with Vedanta Sutra was it is very much open to misinterpretation. One can easily misguide someone by misinterpreting the Vedanta Sutra because it's Sutra. You can interpret, explain it in your own way. So that problem again he found what to do. He was again disappointed. What to do first? He wrote 4 Vedas, then 108 Upanishad, 18 Puranas, then Vedanta Sutra. Still, he found little disappointed and he thought what to do. Then his guru Narad Muni advised him. Then Vyasdev himself gave the interpretation of the Vedanta Sutra. So that is like perfect. So the author himself gives the interpretation of the Vedanta Sutra. And that is Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the interpretation of the Vedanta Sutra by the author himself. So this was the great gift of Vyasdev to the human society. Now, because this Srimad Bhagavatam is Sarva Vedanta Saram hi Srimad Bhagavatam Ishyase Tad Rasamrita Taptasya Nanatrashat Rati Kvachit. Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence, Sarva Vedanta Sara, essence of all the Vedanta. And Tad Rasamrita Taptasya, if one is tripta by Rasha of Srimad Bhagavatam, he will require any other scripture, any other books to read. Okay. But again, one small problem remains. What is that problem? That Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for people who are seeking the spiritual life. Those who are naturally inclined towards spiritual life, they will read Srimad Bhagavatam only. But those who are naturally inclined to indulge in material life, how they will come to this scripture? Why they will read scripture? So for them, Vyasdev again compiled the greatest book of knowledge, that is Mahabharata, great history of India. And in Mahabharata, he embedded Bhagavad Gita. So people will read Mahabharata, those who are interested in material life, they will read Mahabharata. But through Mahabharata, they will come across the Gita. In Mahabharata is Gita, and they will get the spiritual life. And once they get spiritual interest in Gita, after that they will read Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is, Srimad Bhagavatam is fully entry of spiritual life, spiritual world. So this is how we come to conclusion that Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are these two books are the essence of all the scriptures. And these two books are written by Vyasdev. It is a final maturity or his culmination of his knowledge and conclusion of essence of his knowledge is presented in these two books. That is Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, if you say that, how can I read Bhagavatam? It is very big. How can I read Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita has so many commentaries, so many versions, what to do? So for that reason, God has again sent our dear Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON, and he has compiled the Gita in English, and which is very much understandable, readable, this Gita. And this Gita is making so much impact, as I mentioned the first session, that 50 million books have already been distributed, and millions of people have turned into this Krishna consciousness. They turned into they have taken Sanatan Dharma, Krishna consciousness as their life. Their life has been transformed. So this book is really powerful and making impact. This Bhagavad Gita, we are getting the as it is original Gita by Srila Prabhupada. And even that, if you say that Bhagavad Gita is too big, and then another option is that Srila Prabhupada has written many small books for people who want to understand very easily and comfortably. So Prabhupada has given so many small books, and each of these small books are as good as Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, because in that book nothing is written, only it is written some excerpt from the Bhagavatam and Gita is only mentioned in this book. So it is like it's easy way to understand Gita and Bhagavatam by these books. So I hope I didn't make very much complex or very much complex or difficult for you this today's lecture. Although it was really complex, but I tried to make it very easily understandable and comfortable. So we just covered the 10 points of scriptures. Again, I will repeat for your information, for your knowledge. You can again recap it. You can capture again. First was the Shastras are manual of this universe and our life. Second, Shastras are mother. Third, Shastras are axiomatic truth. Fourth, it gives accurate predictions. 5, it gives precise cosmology. 6, perfect embryology. 7, literally accurate. No mistake, nothing can be found. 8, is eternal, ever existing. It just appear and disappear. 9, it is meant for our benefit. It speaks about spiritual life, our ultimate benefit. And 10, it is compiled by the person who is free from 4 defects. Then we also heard the story of Vyasdeva. He wrote one after all the scriptures and finally compiled Srimad Bhagavatam and Mahabharata, in which Bhagavad Gita was embedded. So Gita and Bhagavatam are the essence of all the scriptures. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.